No one noticed the janitor at first. He stood near the back of the graduation hall, holding a folded program with hands rough from years of cleaning floors that weren't his. His clothes were plain, his shoulders slightly hunched, his head lowered as if he didn't want to take up space. He had come quietly, just to see his son walk across the stage, but then a Navy captain in full uniform froze mid-step, his eyes locked onto the janitor's forearm. A single tattoo, faded, scarred, unmistakable. The captain's breath caught, his hands began to shake, and before anyone could understand why, a decorated officer of the United States Navy started to cry in front of everyone. What followed would change how an entire room understood heroism, sacrifice, and the quiet strength of a single. Father Daniel Harper learned early that life doesn't ask if you're ready. At 26, he buried his wife on a cold morning that felt too quiet for the weight it carried. She'd been sick for a long time, the kind of illness that drains not just the body but the future you thought you had. When the dirt finally settled over her grave, Daniel stood there holding their 2-year-old son, Liam, and realized something terrifying. There was no backup plan. Daniel had been a Navy sailor once. Not long, not gloriously. Just enough to learn discipline, brotherhood, and how quickly everything can be taken from you. After leaving the service, life moved on without ceremony. The uniform was folded away. The memories were not. With no degree and a child who needed him, Daniel took the first job that didn't ask questions, a janitor at a public high school. The pay was low. The hours were brutal, but the floors got clean, and the lights stayed on at home. Every night, after putting Liam to sleep, Daniel would lace up his worn boots and head out. He scrubbed classrooms where students complained about homework. He cleaned hallways that echoed with dreams he couldn't afford to have. Teachers rarely learned his name. Students barely noticed him. That was fine. He wasn't there to be seen. Years passed like that, quiet, relentless. Daniel learned how to stretch groceries, how to fix broken toys with tape and patience, how to smile even when exhaustion settled deep into his bones. He missed school plays because of double shifts. He fell asleep standing up on more than one occasion, but every morning, he was there to walk Liam to school. Liam grew up knowing two things without question: his dad loved him, and his dad never quit. When Liam showed interest in science, Daniel found old library books. When Liam struggled in math, Daniel stayed up learning formulas he barely understood so he could help. He never complained. Not once. By the time Liam reached his senior year, Daniel's hands were permanently cracked, his back always aching. But when the graduation announcement came in the mail, Daniel stared at it for a long time. We made it, he thought. He didn't own a suit. He didn't want to embarrass Liam. So he planned to stand in the back, quiet as always, just long enough to see his son cross that stage. That was all he wanted. The graduation ceremony was crowded, loud, alive with celebration. Parents laughed, cameras flashed, pride filled the air. Daniel arrived early, slipping into the back row near the exit. He wore his cleanest work clothes, dark pants, a plain button-down, shoes polished as best as he could manage. He folded his janitor's jacket over his arm. When Liam's name was called, Daniel's chest tightened. There he was, taller than Daniel remembered, confident, walking with purpose. Tears burned Daniel's eyes, but he blinked them away. Then the applause paused. A Navy captain, invited to give a short speech, had just stepped off the stage. He stopped abruptly, staring at Daniel as if he'd seen a ghost. Slowly, the captain walked closer, eyes fixed on Daniel's forearm where his sleeve had ridden up. The tattoo was simple, coordinates and a symbol only sailors recognized. The captain's voice broke when he spoke. "Where did you get that?" Daniel hesitated. "A long time ago." The captain swallowed hard. "Those coordinates, that was the rescue zone. You were there." Murmurs spread through the room. Daniel nodded slightly. "Yes, sir." The captain turned to the audience, tears streaming openly now. "This man saved my life." Silence fell. He explained how, years ago, during a night mission gone wrong, their unit had been trapped. Visibility was gone. Communication was failing. Panic had set in. And one sailor, injured, exhausted, refused to leave anyone behind. Daniel had stayed. He carried wounded men. He signaled through darkness. He disobeyed an order that would have saved himself but doomed others. When help finally arrived, Daniel collapsed and was later quietly discharged due to injuries he never spoke about. No medals, no headlines, just a tattoo to remember the men who came home. The captain stood straighter and saluted. The entire hall rose to its feet. Daniel didn't know where to look. He felt small, exposed. But then he saw Liam, standing frozen near the stage, tears pouring freely down his face. In that moment, Liam didn't see a janitor. He saw a hero. After the ceremony, Liam hugged his father harder than he ever had. "You never told me," he whispered. Daniel smiled softly. "You didn't need to know. You just needed a dad." That night, Daniel realized something profound. True strength doesn't announce itself, true sacrifice doesn't demand recognition, and the greatest legacy a parent can leave isn't a title, it's an example. The janitor went home that evening with sore feet, a full heart, and the quiet knowledge that sometimes, the world eventually sees what really matters, and when it does, it remembers forever.